Welcome, everyone. The event is now live. John, please take it away.
Thank you, Victoria. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's live Tech Talk, Windows 10 IoT Enterprise, Opportunities and Challenges. This event was organized by the hardworking folks at Redmond Magazine, and it's sponsored by Advantech, a leading developer and manufacturer of computer automation products, including comprehensive system integration, hardware, software, custom center design services, embedded systems automation products, and global logistic support. I'm John K. Waters, Editor-in-Chief in the Converge 360 Group at 1105 Media, and I'm joined today by Jeff Trager, Microsoft IoT Software Licensing Subject Matter Expert. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, John. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you. So let me give the folks a little intro here. For anyone who has been paying attention, the proliferation of intelligent devices has been nothing short of amazing. I just read a report just this morning from the analysts at IDC, and they are predicting that by 2025, there will be 4.1 billion IoT devices capable of generating 79.4 zettabytes of data. That's a lot of gizmos, and they present opportunities and challenges for OEMs developing products and or services for the Internet of Things with Windows 10 IoT Enterprise. This edition of Windows 10 was designed to deliver added manageability and security to IoT solutions. It's a full version of Windows 10, and it shares the benefits of the worldwide Windows ecosystem. And yet, a surprising number of partners are not well acquainted with the ins and outs of Windows 10 IoT Enterprise, how it's licensed, and how it makes it possible for them to provide lower prices and longer life cycle for their fixed function devices. And that is the focus of today's conversation. So let me introduce my partner in crime for today's webcast. As I mentioned in the introduction, this is Jeff Trager. He's a subject matter expert in the area of Microsoft IoT software licensing. Jeff has extensive experience with the sales and support of embedded software in general and Windows IoT in particular. His focus is on industrial IoT devices, and he's a trusted advisor and partner within Microsoft's OEM channel. Pardon me. I just learned today, I just got to share that I just learned today that Jeff is also a former backcountry ranger with the U.S. Forest Service in Northern California, where he built and maintained trails, participated in search and rescues, and fought actual forest fires. But Jeff is a thoughtful and knowledgeable guy in the area we're talking about today, which is why I dragged him onto the web. And welcome, Jeff. And I hear you brought slides.
Thank you, John. Yeah, I've got some slides that we'll use to highlight the various bullet points, but for the most part, this will just be a conversation between you and I hope the audience will get some value from it and knowledge, and anything we don't cover, they'll come back to us for additional information. Yeah,
we should have some time for questions so the audience can type your questions into the Q&A box at any time. We'll do our best to get to all of them at the end. Okay, so first let's level set. What is Windows 10 IoT Enterprise, and what is it used for?
All right. So because it is very confusing between the terminologies, I'm going to first start off with saying many of us know Windows 10, just like we knew Windows 7 and XP and so on. So Windows 10 is the latest version. Actually, Windows 11 is the latest version of Microsoft for on their family of operating systems. Windows 10 IoT is what we decided to focus on today because it's the one that's currently available, and it's the one that many OEMs are using today. So when you see the name IoT in any description of an operating system, that indicates it's from the Windows embedded /IoT channel, which is a small channel within Microsoft. As many people know about the academic or the home channel or the OEM channel. Well, this is a channel that's specifically targeted beginning in 1999, I believe, when Windows CE was launched, for OEMs who built fixed function devices or dedicated appliances that serve a specific industry function. So again, the name IoT indicates where it used to be embedded, it used to be Windows 7 embedded, now it's Windows 10 IoT. That says it's from this channel. And the channel then provides operating systems and software products like SQL Server that are specifically targeted at OEMs because they have benefits such as new features that are for OEMs, longer life cycle, and preferential pricing.
Fascinating. Okay. This might be the dumb question of the day, but do I have it right that there are two versions of Windows 10 used in IoT devices?
Yeah, I think in a way that's right, because you'll find well, let me first state which ones they are. You'll find folks use Windows 10 Pro, and then they'll use Windows 10 IoT Enterprise, which is not to be confused with Windows 10 Enterprise, which is we find on our laptops that we use for our general purpose computing here with our work. Whereas Windows 10 Pro comes bundled with PCs. For example, Dell, HP, Lenovo will actually send you a machine with Windows 10 Pro if you just ask for one from their online ordering, or if you have an account. And so, yeah, so Win 10 Pro and Win 10 IoT Enterprise are the ones most commonly I find as I work with my customers here at Advantech who are building devices, systems, compute systems, retail, industrial automation, medical devices, that they either are coming bundled with Windows 10 Pro, or they found a way to find me, and I tell them Windows 10 IoT Enterprise is a better fit. Better fit because of that. Well, we'll get into why it's a better fit.
Well, talk about the differences between Windows 10 Pro, Windows 10 Enterprise, and Windows 10 IoT Enterprise.
All right. So the first thing I'll do is remind me to go to a slide on this one in case I forget something. But first,
sure.
The difference between Win 10 IoT Enterprise and Win 10 Enterprise is I want to make sure this is very clear to everyone. Win 10 Enterprise, again, this is sold through your perhaps enterprise agreement that you have through your IT people at your company, and you use it on your laptops, your workstations for doing your general purpose business use. That's Win 10 Enterprise. You can use it for your own internal devices, for your own enterprise use, but it's not allowed. You can't use it to distribute with your OEM products. So I want to make sure that's clear, make sure that everyone's compliant with Microsoft. And that's the main difference between Win 10 IoT Enterprise and Win 10 Enterprise. The software is the same, but the license rights differ. Now, because prior to this, we said the two different operating systems that OEMs use are Win 10 Pro and Win 10 IoT Enterprise. Let me show you a table. Let me see if this is the right slide. So yeah, this is a good slide to start. So I'm showing Win 10 has multiple editions, and Win 10 IoT Enterprise is designed for dedicated devices, and it has advanced lockdown features. Two highlights I want to point out: 10 years of support and preferential pricing. We're going to talk more about the pricing later, John. You should ask me that question later.
I will.
And as mentioned, Win 10 Pro and Enterprise are intended for general purpose business PCs and laptops. I already said that. Yeah, I already said that one. And then Windows 10 Home. Now let's get into more specifics there. This slide here, I believe, is going to show us the difference between Pro and IoT Enterprise. And I'll let the folks read mostly, but I'm going to speak and tell you about that. The pricing one is where a lot of people are going to be very interested in the pricing. Just like Win 7 Pro and Win 10 Pro, you have one price from Microsoft that goes to the various distributors or resellers. Maybe there's some volume-based pricing that comes about with that once you decide if you are buying larger quantities. Or if you're buying a PC or a compute system of some kind with Win 10 Pro, you can negotiate better pricing. But it's all going to be one set price from Microsoft. On the other hand, Win 10 IoT Enterprise is based upon the value of the processor. And this is really key in this world because this is Microsoft finally coming to terms with they can't have a high-price operating system license to go along with the device that maybe is running an Atom processor, a digital signage machine where the OS license may be equal to or greater than the cost of the machine itself. So think about if you're running an Atom processor, which is a lower power processor, which usually indicates a compute device that maybe is used in a marketplace where it's not doing a whole lot of heavy lifting. So therefore, the operating system cost shouldn't be so high. So we have, if it's without getting too much in detail, pricing is based upon the value of the processor. And there's three different categories: entry, value, and high end. The entry category would be for those machines that are using an Atom processor. The value would be those with i5, i3, some Celeron and Pentium. And lastly, the high end would be i7 and Xeon. So I called out that difference. Support lifecycle is also very important in the difference between Win 10 Pro. Many times I get calls from folks and say, well, I don't know what to do. My Win 10, Microsoft just announced my Win 10 Pro is no longer supported. Whereas if you go with the Windows 10 IoT Enterprise, you have 10 years of lifecycle support from the date of the original release.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the rest of these topics here, I mean, certainly you can turn on and off features in Win 10 IoT Enterprise, which is a great benefit if you're shipping an OEM device, an embedded IoT device. Another key advantage is activation method. Typically, the activation method, when you buy a PC, it's got a license sticker on it. You have to scratch it off, and then you have to type it all in. With Win 10 IoT Enterprise, we have something called EPKEA, or Embedded Product Key Entry Activation, that allows you to enter the key once, and that key is good for 50,000 activations. And I could go on, but I believe as we go through this, these topics, there'll be more. You'll have some questions that I think I can delve into these things a little bit deeper.
Okay, so that's great. So how do I put this? So why exactly would a customer choose to develop with Windows 10 IoT Enterprise?
Yeah. One reason one of the top reasons is license policy. IoT Enterprise allows customers to ship devices with the operating system installed along with their application. So essentially, you're able to provide to your end customers a complete system, the operating system, the application, as well as the hardware under this, what we call the Microsoft OEM Customer License Agreement, which is needed to be signed. But in that agreement, Microsoft provides all the terms and conditions to use the software and also provides you liability protection as well. You're also going to use Windows IoT or Windows 10 in general, because of the large ecosystem of developers, because it supports Windows 32, because it supports 32 and 64-bit apps. Because Microsoft has been doing this for such a long time, it's very productive. Because Microsoft is now into the cloud, the Windows operating system will seamlessly connect to any of your cloud applications. Of course, if you're using Azure, it will be more seamless as opposed to AWS, but there's a lot of partnerships going on there in that regard. Mentioned support. I mentioned 10 years of life cycle, seamlessly connect with Azure. Very secure. You know, we used to worry about Microsoft and Windows not being secure. I know in the past I used to have to sell third-party apps to go along with my selling Windows XP because we couldn't trust Windows. But today with Windows Defender and all the other features like an App Locker and BitLocker, we now can, I believe, confidentially trust the Microsoft Windows operating systems. There's probably a few others, but I think, again, as we go through this topic, these topics, we'll come across them.
Well, sure. So, all right. So Windows 10 IoT Enterprise comes with tools to help OEMs secure and harden their devices. Do you want to talk about, do you want to drill down on the specialized features that come with Windows 10 IoT Enterprise?
I think that's a good thing to do. So, yeah. So let's go to slide 13. Let me see if I can find that slide. Let me see if I missed anything in the other slides here. Yeah. So here's a great one. It also shows comparisons between Pro and Enterprise. This slide is called Win 10 Editions Feature Comparisons, Pro versus IoT Enterprise. And some of the specialized lockdown features that you're going to find in IoT Enterprise is App Locker. Now, App Locker, similar to a McAfee product called Embedded Security or Application Security, where you can set the your machine to only run applications that you have deemed to be good. It's kind of like a whitelist. But by the way, I don't know if you've all heard this right now, but because in our new, this is not to get political, but in our new woke society now, there's a movement underway in the tech industry to get rid of the terms whitelist and blacklist. Have you heard that yet? Because whitelist indicates good and blacklist in the case in the world of antivirus indicates bad. I just heard that, and
it's an evolving culture.
Yeah, I just think, okay, anyway. Little side note there. So you have App Locker, then you have BitLocker. A couple things I want to call out is Unified Write Filter, or UWF. Microsoft introduced that back in the days of Windows 7 Embedded Standard. And what this does, it does not allow any writes to the drive. Meaning if some rogue actor would want to install an application, if you were online and maybe someone on your site had access to the machine and they wanted to install an application that was going to capture information and do bad things, at the end of the day, or when the system would reboot, that application would be gone. Basically, no writes to the hard drive are allowed. Everything's occurring during read only. So that's a really nice feature. Many OEMs take advantage of this. It used to be called Enhanced Write Filter. Now it's called Unified Write Filter. Another one is Keyboard Filter. Again, considering these devices are being used in the field, consider retail, for example. And again, it could be a rogue actor, and they want to hit Alt-Control-Delete to get inside into Taskmaster and the control panel and do things that the end users may not want to have happen. You can lock down all these certain keystrokes so they don't work. So that's Keyboard Filter. Shell Launcher is also very key to OEM type devices that are running a dedicated application, because once you set it up, when the machine boots, it boots right into the application, the dedicated application that we all want to use. And there's no click here to go here and click there to go there. So that would be your Shell Launcher. And then there's custom login that perhaps allows your end users to log in, but perhaps in the back end, you can have your administrator do dual login and maybe do some maintenance at the same time as the machine is running in the background. Think about the days when you go to an airport and you see the display screens up there to tell you about flight information, and you'd see something about, sorry, the application not available. Well, if you had that dual login at the time, someone could be actually fixing it and still having the machine doing the screen doing what it's supposed to do. Yeah. Unbranded boot is another one I'll call out right now, is that
Sure.
A lot of times folks don't want to know what operating system is running underneath. And so by using this branding or branding, no one will ever know there's Windows running underneath. And so that's a really nice feature as well. So, that's probably some of what I consider the more key ones, but there's so many more features. And the nice thing about it is that it's very easy to turn on and off these features when you're setting up your operating system. Very easy.
Fascinating.
Okay.
Talking about the Internet of Things, I was chatting with a friend of mine the other day, and he was talking about, and this is real. He was talking about how he was in a air-gapped organization, and they were getting this ransomware attack, and they could not figure out how it was getting in until they took a look at the coffee pot and found out that it was linked to the internet, and the guys were sneaking in through the coffee pot. So the real world is full of bizarre sounding examples. But you want to maybe talk a little bit about real world examples of Windows 10 IoT Enterprise in use?
Well, first, I will. But before we even go there, that's
Sure.
a very key topic to focus on, is that considering retail point of sale is one of my favorite examples. Credit card information is being collected. It's being maybe encrypted and then sent on to a back-end server. And that could be Windows Server or Linux Server, and then sent up to the cloud. So there's a lot of personal data, a lot of financial data being transmitted now. And it's so important to have your machines as secure and locked down as possible. Medical, no doubt about that one, right? All medical data. We just did a white paper for a medical conference where we highlight some of the security features in Windows now. Industrial automation, the factory line, production. We need to keep these lines rolling. So nothing more important than security right now to keep your data and machines running.
Fascinating.
A really good case study. Let me see if I can find that slide for us without too much deliberation here. One of my favorites is their name is Dover. They used to be called, let's see if this one's it. There you go. Used to be called Dresser Wayne way back in the day. Then it was Wayne, and then Dover Corporation bought them. So it's no more, it's a gas station pump. And how would you, the days of the old just, pulling the lever up, we've all been to these pumps now. So loyalty cards, direct marketing through the machine. Maybe you watch a trailer for your TV show you want to watch. I mean, it's just,
I know.
Just use your imagination. But, basically the whole idea is to provide a custom personalized experience to the end user, at the same time providing the OEM of that device some valuable information that will enable them to better support their customers in the field. Not customers in the field, but their customers, as well as their partners who are running these machines at the gas stations, to generate more revenue. So Dover Fueling Systems partners with Microsoft both on the Windows 10 IoT operating system side, Windows 10 servers, as well as IoT Hub and Azure Analytics, to ensure that these devices are secure, productive, safe, and a great experience for when you're going and gassing up your car, which is so much. Oh, little side note, I can't, my brother-in-law ever would watch this. He still gasses up at $5. He just puts $5.
He doesn't get much for his money nowadays.
Oh, so weird. Yeah.
So, you mentioned, I don't want to digress too much, but you did mention healthcare, and I was wondering why the long-term support is especially important for for developers in the creating solutions for the healthcare industry. Yeah.
Well, not just healthcare, but certainly healthcare is one. When you think about where our healthcare device goes to, if it's an MRI machine, for example, certainly a Windows portion of the MRI machine is maybe with the UI or maybe with the connectivity part. So it's not certainly Windows in the MRI. But it goes onto an IT network in a hospital. And many times, OEMs do not want their customers' IT network to interfere with that device, because they may then be using WinPro, providing updates to every machine on the network. So it's important for the OEMs to convey to their hospital partners or partners in the medical industry that, hey, my device is locked down, and you don't have to worry about my device, because my device is going to be working there without the need of any feature updates or any updates at all from Microsoft for 10 years. So the same thing can apply in any other industry. We used to call it ship and forget. So if you're an OEM, you want to make sure when you build your device, add your operating system, add your application, any drivers, any third-party apps that keep your machine running, that when it leaves your factory, that machine is going to work without worry of anyone sending new updates down there. So we've all had that happen. A new Windows update comes through on Patch Tuesday or whenever it is, and it breaks your application or breaks something. Well, because it has what we call long-term service channel, LTSC, OEMs and then their end users can be assured that their life cycle, the product is going to run for them for at least 10 years without needing to provide any updates. Certainly, you can still do the security patches and bug fixes, which is highly recommended. But there you have a mechanism in place by the OEM or the end user to take advantage of any of their device management software, system configuration, service manager, for example, or Windows Update Center, to make sure that these valuable security patches and bug fixes that Microsoft deems necessary gets out to those devices. But if you're an OEM, the first thing you want to do is run these updates through your own factory first, make sure they're good, and make sure they're not going to break anything. Then you deploy them to your end users in whatever other method you've decided, whatever device management system you've decided to use.
Fascinating.
So yeah,
okay.
I mean that's a really key, that's a very great benefit about Windows, right? There's so many different ways to manage those systems. There's third-party applications like Acronis, in addition to the fee-based ones that Microsoft has. We at Advantech also represent Acronis, and which have wonderful solutions for device management, deployment, backup, recovery, and security.
Okay, so we're talking about developing for the Internet of Things, but okay, let's say I'm a developer and I already know Windows Pro really well. I use it all the time, and you know, I mean, is it worth it? I mean, you know, when you switch like this, like, is it worth it to switch to Windows 10 IoT Enterprise?
It sure is. It sure is, and I guess maybe 3 or 4 times a week I'll get inquiries from different partners or different end users or customers wanting to move from Win 10 Pro to Win 10 IoT Enterprise. Sometimes they don't know why they wanted. Maybe someone told them, and so first off, it's my job to explain it to them. So it's worth it, one, because of the long-term service channel. Meaning, again, because I just need to reiterate, how often does Microsoft come out and say Win 10 Pro or Win 10, this version of it will now be end of life? And usually that's every 18 months to 24 months. Not totally sure, because Win 10 Pro is not one of the products that I ever get involved with. I have to compete against it or educate folks against it. So clearly longer life cycle. But here's another one that I haven't mentioned yet. Well, I did bring up the fact that the features in Win 10 IoT Enterprise are specifically for OEMs who build fixed function devices in order to lock down their machine, make it more optimized to run with their application. Think about Win 10 Pro. What does it have in it? They got Microsoft Hello or Microsoft Cortana or Solitaire or any other of these other consumer-based apps that, if you're an OEM and you're trying to minimize your support of your device in the ecosystem in which you sell to, the last thing you want to do is have anyone who's logged into that machine, for example, retail point of sale, during their spare time to log in and check their internet, check their email, browse the web, play some games, install some games. So you can lock down that machine with Win 10 IoT Enterprise as opposed to Win 10 Pro. It is what you get. It's the full bunch of applications that Microsoft provides, but they provide it for consumers, not for embedded devices. You notice we use the word embedded a lot. I should use, say, IoT devices.
Sure.
Back in the day, embedded was the term for dedicated applications. Yep. And, you know, why did that happen? Embedded computers, you know, small form factor devices running Windows CE. Well, we've certainly grown from that technology to where now we're talking still small form factor, but also large form factor devices, all running a x86 based application, Windows, all running x86 applications and supported by Windows operating systems. Long life cycle. I didn't talk about pricing. This is probably a good chance to talk about pricing as well. Again, category pricing in Win 10 Pro is one set price. Win 10 IoT Enterprise pricing is based upon the value of the processor. This probably would be a good chance for me to show that slide that I have on that. Yeah. Keep me on target here, John, from timing wise as well, so I don't.
We're good. We've got we're getting some good questions coming in. One, all right. I got to share this one real quick. Alan is you were talking about the differences, and wait, where did that go? Oh, here it is. Win 10 IoT doesn't have all the extra crap included, like MS Store, Xbox games, etc., which is pretty much what you just said.
That's exactly what you said.
I'm finding that. Thanks, Alan.
Yeah, I'm finding this slide is not building out. There is, something seems to be wrong with that slide.
Can you help us, Victoria?
There we go. Thank you, Victoria. So this is a great pictorial example of what I explained a few moments ago. Please ignore the pricing on these because this is old, so don't even begin to think about the pricing. My bad. I shouldn't have put any pricing on these. But so high end, again, this is Intel i7 Xeon. The more robust type of computers you're going to see in high-end applications. So this corresponds to high-end. Value i5, i3 Celeron. And then entry would be low power. And then there's a new operating system, Windows on ARM. I'll talk about that a little bit more towards the end of this.
Okay.
That's not the slide I wanted. So moving on to the next slide, which I want to talk about the activation, another benefit of Win 10 IoT Enterprise as opposed to Win 10 Pro. So the typical method of activation, one would be using the MAK key that you get through your IoT network, your IoT Enterprise IT guys. You know, they do it all for you, and they just purchase through their Ingram Micros or Tech Datas or SHIs, whoever they buy their open licenses through. Then there's PKEA, where the license key is on the COA. Now, the COA stands for Certificate of Authenticity. Some people call them license stickers. Some people call them stickers. I mean, when people ask me what I sell for a living, I just say I sell stickers, which is really just fun. But on this PKEA key, you'll see it's got the Microsoft anti-piracy work on it. It's also got a serial number on it. It's also got a product description, but it's also got an area where you scratch off and reveal the key. And then if you're using this, usually small scale production runs use this because they want to, I don't really know why, except they don't want to be responsible for their key being out there and being used in the nefarious ways. So essentially you enter that key once, and that machine will call home the Microsoft activation servers once it's connected to the internet. And when it's connected, it'll activate itself seamlessly to the end user. Beautiful. The other method, which is really a key value proposition in IoT Enterprise, is ePKEA. It's a single activation key that's good for up to 50,000 activations. So if you're an OEM out there, all you need to do is take that key that you received with my help and the help of my team at Advantech, we will request the key for you from Microsoft. It gets sent to you in a series of 2 emails. One email has a Word document that's locked. The other email has a password to unlock the Word document. You do that, you get it, you unlock it, and take that key, you inject that or enter it into your screen on your target machine. You then, of course, finish your configurations, whatever you're going to do to customize it, lock it down, and you have your golden image. And then you take that golden image with that one key and deploy it to your target hardware as you need to. And for every I don't want to run right into the next part of it, but that is ePKEA versus PKEA in a nutshell. But the segue into that is you can track how many activations. So if you're an OEM and you're shipping a lot of devices, say you're shipping 50,000 units a year or 50,000 over a period of a couple of years, you don't want to find yourself in a position of, oh my goodness, I'm now at 49,998, and I've got machines out on the factory floor that when I go and activate them, that key will no longer work. So you'll be able to track it, and then we can get you a new key that will also then be good for another 50,000 activations. I've run into that before where an OEM found that to be happening, and we were able to go to Microsoft. And while Microsoft was very willing to help, we needed to make sure 50,000 activations, but we were able to get them a key in very quick time in order, or we were able to get them to continue to use their current key, so they didn't have to go back to the R&D department and get them to inject a new key into a new master image. So, from a licensing standpoint, when you purchase these, first thing you start, I don't think we have a question on this or even talked about this. So this might be a good chance to delve into licensing Windows 10 IoT.
Yeah, what I understand is that when it was released in 2015, Microsoft decided to provide a completely different basis for the price and license, and there are tiers involved. Could you maybe talk about all that?
Yeah, well, the tiers okay. You know what I'm going to do right now, which I think is going to be relevant. I'm going to do a quick screen share.
Okay.
Of what I call the silicon placemat. Let me see if I can do this without sharing too much. Yeah. Yeah. Let me see here if this is going to work. Do y'all see a Win 10 11 IoT Enterprise value-based processor list?
I'm seeing it.
Good.
So if Victoria, let us know if, okay, she says the screen share looks great.
All right, good. So this is back, let's back up a few minutes ago when we were talking about the value-based pricing processor list.
Right.
What I like about this, it shows you, you see that first row, NXP, IMX8.
Mm-hmm.
Effective May 4th, 2022, Microsoft released Windows on ARM. And so now we have a new base SKU just for Windows on ARM. And that's even going to be lower price than the entry. But here you see Intel, the second row, selected Pentium, N series and J series, selected Celeron, blah, blah. For these, Microsoft says you can license entry, value, or high end. Of course, if you're smart, and if you talk to me, I'm going to tell you license entry. Because sure, Microsoft will be happy to sell you a value license, but really all you need is entry license for when these processors are used in your embedded device or IoT device. Mm-hmm. And the next block here, if you're using if your Pentium's not listed in the above, or your Celeron's not listed, and if your Atom is called out here, or your cores are called out here, or your Xeons are called out here, then you would license either value or high end. Of course, you're only going to want to license value because that's the minimum amount you need to license. And last but not least, you have your Core i7s, Core i9s, rest of Xeon, and that would correspond to your high end. So this is a very cool little diagram. And Microsoft updates this every 4 to 6 months as new processors are released in partnership with Intel and AMD, and now with NXP, who I believe they bought Freescale. So that's the end of that screen share there. So let me stop down.
Okay.
Stop that. Any questions about that, John?
No, I think that was pretty clear. Let's see.
Oh, well, I can go back now to your question about tiers.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so I think this is great before we get into tiers, though, because I'd like to talk about how to license.
Sure.
There is a agreement that's necessary. Try to keep my thoughts in order here. Let me pull up a slide on that one here. This might be it. Yeah. Some of you are on the call or will be listening to this presentation. We'll already have what we call the Microsoft OEM Customer License Agreement, or CLA. This is a nice little Microsoft agreement, only 26 pages long, that all folks who want to use Windows IoT need to execute. It's done via DocuSign. It's relatively painless. It's certainly non-negotiable. I think I've only had one opportunity to negotiate on behalf of a major defense contractor who was putting Windows not on any life and death machinery, by the way, but on some machine that was running in a jet plane, in an F-15 or whatever you wanted. And they just couldn't get the Air Force to allow a guy from Microsoft to come in and do an audit on the F-15. So we got Microsoft to agree to, okay, we don't need to see the license sticker on the back of the device on your F-15, but somewhere in your, in your office, wherever the F-15 is parked, we want to go and see it. Anyway, that's just a small little side note. So the first thing to do is sign the agreement via DocuSign. Again, I will help you through it, make sure it all gets done right, and make sure the right people get added to it. And then we provide you the software. One key aspect of this channel, like any other channel, the software and the Microsoft license needs to match. So we want to make sure you always get the correct software, meaning the software from the IoT channel via Advantech or via the Microsoft Document Order Center, or actually it's called the Software Order Center, so that when you purchase a license that has a key associated with it, the license key will work with that software. So that's very important. A lot of times folks come to me and say, I've got IoT Enterprise and I just need a license sticker. Well, if they didn't talk to me first about getting the software, I want to find out from them where they got their software. Sometimes they're running an evaluation version of software. Sometimes they're running the Windows 10 IoT Enterprise software they got from their IT managers. Not good. So I want to make sure that if I'm not starting with you from the beginning, I'm going to ask you some questions to make sure that we're off on the right track. This is when you start talking about my bio. advocate. I am your, my job here is always to be I'm your Microsoft guy. I'm the person that will consider me your employee, that will make sure that you understand the Microsoft policy products so that you can go to market faster, quicker, and with less risk. Then we'll help you with the key activation. Then we have engineers and technical support to make sure that you're building, testing in, you know how to take advantage. And all this is done without any purchase commitment, anything. It's just about a partnership that we like to do, I like to do, because I want to prove my worth. Advantech people want to prove their worth to you before you have to commit to buy. So we help get you through all these sorts of things. Next is the purchasing part of it. When you're ready to, well, actually, as you build, test, and customize, you don't need to have a license on your machine as long as you're using it for testing and demo purposes on company premises. So very key. A lot of times I run into folks and say, I need a license. And before I sell them a license, I say, well, why? If you're asking just for a few, then what are you doing with that license? And so we want to make sure that you don't need to tell you that you don't need to buy a license till you're ready to deploy the machines to your end users or leave the factory floor and go somewhere else. That's when you need to, if you have the OS installed, you should have a license affixed to it. So basically you would place a purchase order to Advantech, and after we negotiated price, provided price, and then set up terms, the usual stuff. And then we'll send you an envelope in it. Maybe you want 10 licenses, maybe you want 100 licenses, or maybe you want 125, whatever it is. We take care of that. You get them delivered. And they're, like I say, stickers. You'll just peel them off and put them in a spot on your machine, the compute device, edge device, so that should an audit occur, they can be readily seen. I always recommend to folks, they don't put them on a spot on the machine where maybe it's a hard drive that could break. I don't think we have that problem anymore, but I'm not too much involved in the manufacturing process, so I can't say for certain. But occasionally folks will say, maybe I put the sticker on the wrong place and I tried to remove it, and of course it doesn't peel off too well. So you want to make sure you do all that right. So once you get the license, you start shipping devices. We're here again to help take your next order, provide any support you need, device management, our partners with Acronis, and then of course we are hardware OEM. So we would want to talk to you somewhere along the line about your next gen of hardware and where we could be of value in the design and providing a custom board. Yeah,
Advantech is a fascinating company. I mean, it covers so much territory. I mean, if you had to do an elevator description of the company, what would that be?
Yeah.
This is look at that list of customers. Yikes.
Yeah, this is a list of the customers here. To convey to you that, and this ties into our relationship with Microsoft. Advantech is an OEM of industrial PCs, one of the largest, I believe. I got a slide that actually will talk about that before I get into that. But basically, our customers are Microsoft customers in this channel, in the IoT channel, embedded channel. We are both in support of OEMs who are building devices that want to make use of the latest and greatest Microsoft Windows operating systems, and also their partners who are doing cool things in the industries that they support. You can see from this list, just a wide range of OEMs who use Windows. Partnering together with Advantech, who we sell hardware to. Maybe memory, maybe complete systems, maybe boards, maybe custom boards. We're talking verticals like industrial automation, gaming, medical, retail, aerospace, many, 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 many more. Now, the other slide I have that may be relevant here is, here's an example of some of the devices that you're going to see Windows on. Embedded computers. And when we talk about embedded computers, we're talking rugged industrial computers. We run into, sometimes folks will come to us and say, I want a device to run my digital signage. Well, they don't need something that rugged. They can go to a lower end board. But if you're putting a machine into an oil and gas field, or you're putting something out there in the field to run your wind turbines or generators, or in a hospital environment, maybe an MRI machine where it's blasting cold. I mean, it's cold in an operating room. So you want to have a machine that is ruggedized, or if it's on a truck, or it's on a lift, or it's in a mining operation. I mean, numerous different applications where Advantech products are built, incorporated with a Windows operating system, a Windows IoT operating system. The other, back to who is Advantech, this might be, I think we still have some time.
Yeah,
Advantech
we do.
Established in 1983. So actually the founder and CEO is still the founder and CEO. So it's very established and very stable company and very profitable company. I mentioned the size of us as an IPC company. We are the world's largest with about $2.1 billion in revenue in 2021. To help our customers, in this last couple of years, 3 years, supply chain issues, certainly we've suffered like anyone else in being able to get our products to our customers. But what helps us to be a little better than the others is we have 2 manufacturing plants, one in Taiwan and one in China, and they're both capable of redundancies. Mentioned the industry served. There's a great video graphic of that. Another thing, due to our size, we have great partnerships with other ecosystem vendors like Intel, NVIDIA, NXP, Microsoft, AMD. So a lot of the knowledge that we get, because of our partnerships, we regularly share that with our customers. Intel, for example, just announced a pricing increase. So, what I like to do is, heads up, folks, something's coming down the road here. Microsoft just released a new additional license terms for Windows and IoT Enterprise. First thing I want to do is get it into your hands so you can plan in advance of what the changes are. So because of our partnerships, I tend to believe we get more good information and advanced information than you might get or our customers might get because they're not dealing in the volumes that we deal with. I think that covers custom, right? We have off-the-shelf products as well as if you need a custom board done. We have teams of engineers that are very happy to take a look at what your specs are and provide you a solution that is custom, going to optimize your application in the field that you're using it in.
Fascinating. So, feel like taking some questions from our attendees?
I believe if we've covered everything, I don't mind at all.
All righty. Let's see here. So, let me try this one. No, not that one. How about this one? Is there a scenario where...
I'm not going to look at them. I want you to surprise me.
Okay. Is there a scenario where Windows 10 Pro / Enterprise is upgraded to IoT?
That's a good question. I deal with that a lot. And the answer is no.
Okay.
So, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that you have to wipe your old operating system off and come to me to work to help you get through the steps to get Windows IoT and then buy a new license at the full price. Microsoft, because all the channels are independent profit and loss centers, Microsoft doesn't make it easy for OEMs. For example, if you bought a machine from HP with Windows 10 Pro on it and you found out, yikes, I should have gotten a Windows 11 IoT or Windows 10 IoT Enterprise, and you go back to HP or wherever you bought it from and they don't have that option for you, then the only other option if you want to use IoT is to wipe out the old operating system and then in future go back when you need to buy a PC, and if it's not industrial, talk to your vendor and say, I don't want you to ship me an operating system with it. I want you to ship it bare bones. But make sure you've done your due diligence by working with me in advance to make sure that IoT Enterprise is going to run on that machine. Then from then, we get the CLA set up for you, license agreement. We get you the software, and then you're ready to go to take that machine you already bought that had Windows 10 Pro on it, but you can load Windows IoT Enterprise on it and be just fine. But there's not going to be an upgrade price or a downgrade right. And this happens a lot in the enterprise channel, open license channel, with software assurance. You spend a little money per year, but you have these upgrade or downgrade rights. Many times in our channel, you don't need to exercise those rights because we have such a long life cycle. But today, for example, if you still had an application that supported Windows XP, you could actually come to us if you were in our channel, and we could actually do what we call downgrade rights, which is an end user right that allows you to ship an XP image with your application as long as you put a Windows 10 IoT Enterprise license sticker on it. So that's something a lot of folks don't know, but it's also just a lot of knowledge that I have up here that will be easily, that I like to convey to folks about the various rights you get by being in this channel, the upgrade rights, the downgrade rights, the field upgrade rights. Okay, so
how about this is from me. If I'm a customer and I have an OEM project that's globally distributed, how can Advantech help with that? Or can you?
Yeah.
Is that something good?
So first off, we want to make sure you're Microsoft compliant. So we here in Microsoft sets up their business units based upon what, EMEA, Asia Pac, North America, and maybe that's it. And if you're located in China, for example, and your main business is in China where you build your machines in China, and you want to put your licenses and your images on in China, you're going to deal with Microsoft Asia. If you're same token, if you're in North America, you're going to deal with Microsoft in North America where Advantech is a distributor. But it just so happens Advantech is a distributor in Asia Pac and EMEA. So if, for example, you have different factory lines in different places throughout the world, you could contact, through my help, get you in touch with the right Advantech party throughout the world. Plus, there's 24/7 support then because we have offices throughout the world. Plus, logistically, right? If you were to use Advantech hardware, we can support you 24/7 throughout all regions in the world. So Advantech is really well placed as opposed to some of our other competitors in this field because we have both the hardware and software plus worldwide support.
So this is an industry-specific question. Taryn is wondering, any use cases of Windows 10 IoT with building management systems?
Maybe someone needs to help me understand what a management system is, because that could be just about, do you know what a management system is?
I'm not sure what Taryn's going for. Taryn, if you want to restate your question with a little more detail, we'll give it a shot. So Ash is wondering, is the data locally stored encrypted if the device doesn't have connectivity? Is there a small SQL Server / database included to store data securely?
Yeah, well, for sure. Now, if it's not connected to the internet, right? So you've removed one aspect of risk. There still is that aspect of risk of someone coming up to your machine with a USB key or whatever and getting access to it. But because you're using Windows IoT, you can still use all those lockdown features that come inside the operating system. It's not running in the cloud, it's running on your device. So you have that in place. And SQL Server, of course, we do sell a version of SQL Server, which is, by the way, the same SQL Server found in other channels. We just sell it in a different model. You can buy it by the core runtime model, core model, where you pay based upon the number of cores in your server, or by instance. And you can actually have 2 virtual machines running on your physical OS. So SQL Server is a great application that also is secure. So combine Windows 10 IoT Enterprise along with SQL Server. It's a great solution. The other day I was talking about someone using SQL Server with Linux as a physical OS. So that's also very possible. So hopefully that answers the question for the gentleman, for the person I was saying.
You bet. So Ash is wondering, what are the compliance certifications that are needed for devices in the field, such as oil rigs, in-fleet trucks, that kind of thing? Is that something?
That's going to be your industry-specific compliance requirements, and I can easily point to gaming. I talk to gaming gaming OEMs all the time, and sure, Windows 10 just fine is going to run and work on your gaming platform, but it's your application combined with Windows that you're going to need to be certified. As far as Microsoft goes, you're compliant. There used to be a language in the CLA that says not to be used in airplanes, because they didn't want to have liability for planes crashing. But otherwise, Windows operating systems can be used in any amount of verticals, but your compliance or any regulations, medical, another case, right? If you're going to be in a medical FDA, they're going to need to, the OEM is going to need to validate through that particular industry to make sure they're compliant. From a Windows standpoint, I don't think it's an issue. It's your application that becomes the issue and what your device is doing in that particular industry.
Gotcha. Okay, Taryn has offered some clarification. So his first question was, any use cases of Windows 10 IoT with building management systems? We asked him to clarify, and what he said was, okay, Taryn, where is it? Okay, here we are. He's talking about building automation systems. He's talking about systems like HVAC, power, and fire used to manage buildings from vendors like Honeywell, Siemens, etc.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't have an example for you right now, Taryn, but I'm sure we'll have your email, but let me, I will provide those instances for you. I don't think I have one in the deck here. But smart cities, industry buildings, all running Windows. I mean, key access systems, for example, getting in and out of buildings, getting in and out of parking lots. All these machines can be running Windows IoT right now. Yeah. So let me get back to you, Taryn.
Sure, that'd be great. So Benjamin is wondering, this is a very specific question too, does Microsoft have plans for an OS for Raspberry Pi?
Okay, that's a good one, Benjamin. It's almost like it's a leading question, like whatever happened to Windows 10 IoT Core, and that's where Microsoft was going with that. Remember CE, that became Windows Mobile, became Windows Handheld, and then Microsoft just had some challenges getting an operating system wrapped around a small footprint device that had a small screen. And that was supposed to be in the last few years, Windows IoT Core. Now we have Windows on ARM. So I think in the context of Raspberry, I believe you can still run Windows IoT Core on it, but I'm not really prepared to talk to you about IoT Core because I sort of blacked that out of my mind. It's one of those things where, hey, folks, we got IoT Core. Let's go down and sell it. Until now, no, I'm not sure it's the right operating system. So let me get back to you on that one.
Okay, looks like we have time for one more question. This one is from Vic, wondering, when implementing IoT solutions with Microsoft, and you've talked a little bit about this, what key considerations should be made by the OEM? Example, security, activation, customization, technical policies, etc.
Yeah, I like that question. Let me see if I can preview the deck that does it all for me. Yeah. Let's see, this is it. And last but not least, oh, come on, Jeff, you can do this. So I guess I'll just do it this way. Yeah, here we go. I did it. Can you see things to consider when choosing an OS?
Yep.
Good. All right, this should answer your question. So long-term support. LTSC. Now, Windows 10 IoT, we're running out of time, so I want to be really quick here. Windows 10 IoT Enterprise comes in two different servicing models, long-term service channel and semi-annual channel or annual channel with the latest version that was released. So long-term support, but that's so key. 10 years. OS updates. We're still going to get, Microsoft is still going to give you their security patches and bug fixes, and it's up to you as the OEM to provide them to your end users. Security, we have already talked about that. Management, I've mentioned already, device management, and then of course it's the full-featured OS with the ability to customize and configure. One thing about full-featured OS, though, is if some of you may know about Windows Embedded Standard 7, where it was a componentized operating system. In the next release of Windows 10 IoT Enterprise, there's going to be something called Edge Image Device Builder that's actually going to allow you to reduce your footprint, which is so cool. I mean, when we went from Windows 10 to Win 10, many OEMs were just upset because they needed to now buy more storage. Now, with Edge, with EDIB or EDBI, it will be a game changer.
Fascinating. I think we're right on time. That's all the time we have for questions. I want to let the audience, remind the audience, in case you didn't notice, our sponsor has provided some extra resources that can be found on the right-hand side of your screen. Please take a moment to check those out. And as you leave today, you'll be asked to take a very short survey. Please take a moment to share your honest opinions. Our editors actually read every comment. I'm one of them, so I know. Your opinions do help to shape our future events. Thank you so much, Jeff, for this great talk. I learned a lot. We want to remind people that Jeff Trager is a subject matter expert in the area of Microsoft IoT software licensing, and a former forest firefighter. This has been fascinating. Thank you so much to Advantech for making this conversation possible. That's all for now. See you all next time.